Welcome back to another video. It is Wednesday afternoon, it's like 1:30, so I'm on very good time today. I am not feeling 100% fresh, but that is just because we've been getting stuff done in the house. Like I spent quite a while gardening and stuff yesterday, so my body is a little bit sore from that. And also Monday's accessory day I did push really hard, so I feel like McDonald's from that plus just general fatigue from yesterday means I haven't really recovered as well as I would have liked to for this session today. But for the most part, I feel good. The food's been like 100% and I've been sleeping a lot better the last couple of days. So overall, I'm feeling good. I'm just feeling a little bit stiff and kind of achy, but I'm sure I'll be fine. But yeah, nothing to really say, nothing really interesting going on. Basically, outside of training, my life has just been either working or sorting the house out. The barbell arrived today for the home gym. And then next Saturday, I think we're planning on collecting all of our kit for the home gym. We still need to wait for the garage roof to be replaced before we can actually properly set it all up and use it, but we need to basically collect it from the storage container that it's in. So we thought we'd do that next weekend so we've got everything at ours, and then it hopefully won't be long. As soon as the roof is done, we can get the gym underway, so that's exciting. But yeah, basically that's the only updates I've got. So you're going to head to my parents now and hang out with my mum for a bit before I train.
There's nothing in this world more primal than my love for you. If you meet somebody else that's a rival, that much is true. Yeah, I know you said, baby, this is final, and I blame myself. All that's left of me now is an animal, and I cry for help. I wish my call's gonna reach you. Give it my all, 'cause I need you out. Let it go, let it go, let it go, till I get you alone. I can't help but howl like a wolf, howl like a wolf. I wish my call's gonna reach you. Give it my all, 'cause I need you. I will howl like a wolf. Baby, I will howl like a wolf. When the sun fades, when the night awaits, I'll be howling and howling and howling for you, babe. Can't keep my pain quiet any longer. Gotta let it out. Are you anywhere near? So I wonder, can you hear me now? I know it ain't over till it's over, 'cause I'm still alive. If only you'd come a bit closer, maybe I'll survive. I wish my call's gonna reach you. Give it my all, 'cause I need you out. Let it go, let it go, let it go, till I get you alone. I can't help but howl like a wolf, howl like a wolf. I wish my call's gonna reach you. Give it my all, 'cause I need you. I will howl like a wolf. Baby, I will howl like a wolf. When the sun fades, when the night awaits, I'll be howling and howling and howling for you, babe. I'll be howling and howling and howling for you, babe. I'll be howling and howling and howling for you, babe.
Okay, so excuse the state of me. I bought these headbands on Amazon, not to look nice, obviously. My fringe has just been really annoying me with the hotter weather, and this sort of headband never stays on my head. Like, I've got such a big head, it just slides off every time. But I thought I would just give it another go, and actually these ones I got on Amazon, I got them really cheap, and I was like, I'm just going to try them, see how they are. And they seem to be staying on my head a little bit better than normal. But yeah, I just want my fringe out of my face, especially like the weather here has been so hot. Like it's been lovely, I'm not complaining, but it's just been a bit much having my hair in my face, and sometimes it's nice to just get it out of my face. So yeah, excuse the look, it's not meant to look stylish. So I didn't film much during tonight's session. Obviously I filmed my sets. I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't a bad session, like nothing moved badly. It was a very light, well, pretty light week still. But it was just it was work. It was like almost like pulling teeth through the whole session. Like my body felt so stiff by the time I started, and it doesn't help that like my body was already fatigued, like I mentioned earlier, from just like the work around the house we've been doing and stuff. My body was already pretty tired and beaten up, and obviously pushing accessories and stuff, and then doing work on the house doesn't really let my body recover how it normally would or how it needs to. But yeah, my body felt stiff and anything anyway. And then before I trained, I also helped my mum with some stuff in her garden, like just lifting some things. We cut a tree down. Like it wasn't anything too strenuous, but it was again enough to just, you know, not be the relaxing pre-session ritual that I like to have. So then yeah, I went into squats, and even just on warm-ups, my body just felt stiff, like so stiff. The 155 top set, it moved fine. Like it felt, I don't want to say it felt harder than it should have, because it didn't feel difficult. Like the first rep felt just as difficult as the last rep. Like I could have kept going, but with my body just feeling quite stiff, it just wasn't easy and comfortable. It wasn't smooth sailing, I guess. And even on my warm-ups, like I couldn't quite get the bar right on my back, and it just felt a bit heavier than normal. Back offs felt fine, but it was just a similar thing of they just didn't feel as fluid as they should. Bench was okay. I think because I don't say I wasn't in the mood to train. Like it wasn't like I wasn't motivated, don't get me wrong. Like it was just a normal kind of just go in, let's get it done kind of thing. But there was no part of me that was like that didn't want to train. Like not that I would ever not train, but I don't know how to describe it. Like I was prepared to do the work and train, but I think everything just felt a bit more effort than it should have. And actually deadlifts were the thing that felt the most kind of normal and fine, which I think is a little bit unusual, especially recently. Like the deadlifts have been the one that I've not wanted to do, because they've obviously been at the end and I've been ready to call it a day. But yeah, like the session as a whole was fine. My body just feels pretty beaten up, and since I've stopped training, my lower back isn't feeling great. Not anything I'm worried about as such, but it's just really stiffened up and it's quite uncomfortable. But I think again that's just from like manual labour. Not that it's been anything excessive, but obviously I just sit at a desk most of the time and just do basic walking. But the good thing is, once the home gym is set up, which hopefully will be in the next few weeks, I do want to get a cross trainer. It should be able to fit in pretty comfortably. I'll just get a second hand one on Marketplace, and that should help with my back and everything. And also I think getting a bit more body weight off will help as well. Sitting around 86 still, which I'm completely fine with being at that weight, but I think for like a health perspective, my body will feel better being a bit lighter. It'll feel a bit more agile. Also, I think once the gym is done, my body will hopefully, like, I'll have more time to fit in mobility and stuff, just with less travel. Not that, I mean, I'll still be training at my parents' quite a lot, I think, just because it's nice to go somewhere to train, and also I like to hang out with them, obviously. But yeah, I think I'll just have a bit more time, and I think having one big project at the house done will help me relax a little bit, because this also isn't helping. Now that we've started doing more jobs on the house again, and I'm back in the rhythm of actually doing work on the house, I'm getting stressed about getting things done. Like, I have in my head that I want the whole house done as soon as possible, but it's like I'm one extreme or the other. It's either all in doing everything, or let's just leave it and do it later. There's no like, well, I just do a little bit at a time. I don't have that in me, but it's fine. It'll get done. I'm just trying to like keep myself calm, and I need to remember that it's fine to do extra. My hair is really annoying me. It's fine to do extra bits on my lighter weeks, but on my heavier weeks, recovery is the main thing. I think what I'm also going to try and do with the house is Saturdays are my training day. I mean, my days are going to change after this block, but for the time being, it seems like Saturdays are the day that I do the most manual labour, and then, or like the most, I keep calling it manual labour, but it's the only way I can think to describe it. The work on the house is being done on a Saturday morning, and then I'm training on a Saturday evening, and then Sundays is coaching work pretty much all day. And it's like, I think I need to switch that around. I think I'd be better off doing my coaching and my training on a Saturday. And then obviously I'll still do some replies and stuff on the Sunday, but I mean, like, programming wise, the bulk of that is on a Sunday. If I move that forwards to a Saturday and train on a Saturday, and then Sundays can be for house stuff, it then will hopefully allow me more time to recover, obviously, for then my next session. And I won't be going into Saturday's session tired. So that's something I'm thinking I need to sort of work on. And it will give me a full day on a Sunday as well because at the moment I just have a few hours on a Saturday. And the only time this is probably not interesting, I don't know how this has become like a house channel, but yeah, the thing is for me, like when my parents come and help, which is, I'd say it's quite often, they're starting to come and help again more now that I'm ready to do more to the house. They typically come on a Saturday morning, so then on those days I have no choice but to obviously help them on a Saturday. But yeah, I think I just need to plan basically what I'm doing and just, yeah, sort myself out and actually plan when to rest. I've been better in the evenings, to be honest. Perhaps tonight it's very late because I just sat talking for ages at my parents' house, but I have been a lot better with actually letting myself chill out a little bit before bed, which has definitely been helping my sleep. And I haven't been feeling as run down recently, so that's good. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I will film, there will be an extra bit of the video where I talk through how to get into powerlifting. I mentioned in the last video, someone asked me how to get into powerlifting, and I'm going to do a whole thing on that, so I will see you in the next clip where I talk through that. Okay, so it is Thursday. I am in the wars. So I mentioned in the last clip that my lower back wasn't feeling 100%, and it's not really feeling any better today. I've done like 12,000 steps in total today. I've still got more to do later, and I've still got to go to the gym later and train. I'll probably do the cross trainer for a little while and just ease off what I can. But walking hasn't made it any better or worse, which is annoying. It's just like an ache right in the centre of my lower back, but it's similar to pain I've had in the past, but because my back hasn't had a moment where it's kind of gone, I'm not too worried about it, but it's just something I'm conscious of, so I just need to kind of keep an eye on it. I genuinely think it's just from doing more work around the house and like gardening and stuff. It's just obviously awkward angles, awkward movements, stuff that I'm not used to doing. So I'm sure it'll be fine. I just need to actually rest a little bit and let it recover, and just not overdo it between sessions. So yeah, I guess we'll see on that front. But what I also forgot to mention is last weekend, we did loads of stuff in the garden, in the garage, whatever, had to go to the recycling centre, the tip after, and it was my job to dump all the garden waste into the big tip. And they were all in bags, or it was all in bags, and one of the bags got stuck and I actually dropped it in the big container, so I had to like reach in to get it out. Luckily it was quite full, so it wasn't difficult to do. But point of my story is my thumb got caught in the bag, and I don't quite know what happened, but basically I am fairly confident that my thumb either dislocated or very nearly did, and as the days have gone on, I'm more convinced that it must have actually like popped out and popped back in, because it's swollen and there's like now like a big like swollen pocket around it, but it is so painful. I keep catching it on everything, and I click my knuckles a lot, and when I'm concentrating I sit and like wriggle my thumbs over and over again, and it like makes my thumbs crack, and I keep doing it with my left hand and catching that thumb, and it's so painful and it's not recovering. So there's that as well, which is really annoying. Just gonna moan about it, but it's fine. Minor things that I'm annoyed about. But yeah, no, so I think that's all I was gonna say. I'm not actually injured, I don't think. Well, my thumb is, but that's not what I was gonna say. My back is fine, that's the main thing. I just want to moan about my thumb because, you know, got to make my excuses. But yeah, no, my back is okay, I think. I don't want to talk about it too much, so I don't want to make it into a thing. I will reassess as the days go on. I'm not going to change the plan, I'm not going to change my training, because also when my back's been bad in the past, I've still been able to squat fine, so that's the main thing. I'm just going to train Saturday as normal, get through squats, see how it feels, and obviously if it doesn't feel great, I'll adjust, but hopefully I won't have to. So yeah, that was the only update I had around training. I just really wasn't in the mood to talk last night, to be honest. I think, because I was just feeling a bit, like, I don't know, I was feeling a bit meh, like, don't know. My social battery was gone anyway, and I didn't really feel like I could explain myself very well, so I wanted to kind of jump on and explain a little bit more about like how my back was feeling. Not that I've actually explained it very well at all, but it's fine. Like yesterday's session was fine. To be honest, I've just kind of written it off, but everything moved fine yesterday and I'm fairly happy. I feel good today. I slept well last night, like my back didn't keep me awake or anything, so that's like the main thing. Anyway, a couple of videos ago, someone commented and asked me how to get into powerlifting. They didn't specify whether they meant training or competing, so I'm going to kind of talk through both a little bit, but I'll start with the training side, and this isn't going to be anything too in-depth or anything like that. It's not going to be an absolute step-by-step process of what to do on either front. It's just going to be the advice that I would give anyone that just kind of asked me this in passing. So firstly, training. If you want to get into powerlifting, you need to do squat, bench press and deadlift. Powerlifting is squat, bench press and deadlift. That is powerlifting, that is the sport of powerlifting. So the main thing you want to do, or the first thing you want to do, is make sure that you are doing those within your training. You don't need to push them all the time. You don't need to go really heavy all the time. You don't need to do crazy low reps. You don't need to do crazy high reps. You just need to make sure that they are in your program. And with that you are doing them to a competition standard. So each lift has specific rules on what classes as a good lift in competition. For example, you need to make sure that you squat to depth. I'm not going to go through all of those rules in this video. If you would like a video on the rules for each lift and how you make sure they're obviously a good lift, what classes is a good lift, what classes is a bad lift, leave a comment down below and let me know, and I can definitely do a video on that. That's not a problem. But basically you need to make sure that you're lifting to standard on all 3 lifts. So you need to train to standard across the board on all 3 lifts. So pause your bench presses, lock out your deadlifts, just things like that. So once you're squat, bench pressing and deadlifting, you don't need to do them all the time, because what else is incredibly important for beginners, intermediates, advanced lifters across the board, but particularly beginners, that I think a lot of people forget, is you need to build muscle mass. So you don't want to just squat, bench press and deadlift. Like, obviously they will help you build muscle mass, but you want to do your accessory movements. Your accessory movements, I basically class accessory movements as anything outside of squat, bench press and deadlift. So bodybuilding movements are like dumbbell chest press, that sort of thing. They will come under accessory movements, at least in the way that I program people, because it makes it much simpler if you have competition movements, accessory movements, simple as that. So you want to basically just make sure that you are still focusing on building muscle. When I first started, before I knew what powerlifting was, but I was actually training this way anyway, I just did push-pull legs on rotation, and on push I would bench press, on pull I would deadlift, on legs I would squat. And I would just repeat that. And that gave me a really good foundation of muscle mass when I then decided to start powerlifting. And then when I decided to start powerlifting, I think to begin with, I followed 5-3-1 before I started writing my own programs. So this is where I have a different opinion to some coaches, most coaches, I think most people, not necessarily coaches. Basically, whenever I see lifters or coaches put a Q&A box up on Instagram, one of the most common questions asked is always, how do I get into powerlifting? And the most common response is, hire a coach. Which, in an ideal world, of course you'd hire a coach from the beginning, because it's just they're going to teach you how to lift to standard, they're going to teach you how to enter competitions, they're going to teach you how to program, or like they're going to program for you, they're going to tailor everything to you, to your needs, to your schedule. That would be ideal. But not everyone can afford to hire a coach from day one. And even if they could afford to, a lot of people don't want to put the money into a sport before they know they enjoy it. So what I would suggest, and what I suggest to other people, is before you decide to hire a coach, just find a template program, follow it for a little while, see that you enjoy it, at least to a certain degree, and go from there. The only disadvantage of template programs, well, there's obviously more than one, but one disadvantage to template programs with what I've just said is obviously it's not tailored to you. So you might not necessarily enjoy the one that you have found or that you're doing, but it will give you an idea of if you enjoy that style of training, focusing on SBD, focusing on squat, bench press and deadlift. And from there you can then make the decision of whether or not you want to maybe hire a coach to tailor a program to you, to see you into a competition, whatever you want to do. But you can also, if you're happy to, just follow this template program that you find into competition. There are so many available online. Most of them are free. I can't think of all of them off the top of my, or many of them off the top of my head, just because they're not things that I really do, and I haven't really spoken about them or looked into them for ages. But 5-3-1 was one of the ones that I know I did, and that I know a lot of people have done that still talk about it to this day. I think Steve Denovi, who's an American coach, I'm pretty sure he has a free program online. There are definitely so many. And if you're watching this and you've followed some in the past, leave them down below so that people can see kind of what you would recommend, or if there's anything that you think people should avoid, leave them down below. But yeah, there's basically plenty of free resources to help you get into powerlifting before you have to commit to paying a coach. Obviously, if you can afford a coach, hire a coach. There are coaches of all different price ranges available, and to be honest, powerlifting coaches don't actually charge anywhere near as much as like a bodybuilding coach or other sports, because the sport is kind of still growing. Coaching, I don't personally feel it's not taken as seriously yet. It's getting there, and it should be, but basically I don't think UK coaches especially charge as much as they probably should for the services that they offer. But it also depends on the coach, because I don't think a lot of coaches also offer maybe the best service, but that's not the point of this video. What I want to say was basically look into coaches. There's big variance in what they charge, experience levels, things like that. You might just find a somewhat cheap local coach to begin with. There's usually it's not difficult to find a local coach that's probably, you know, just starting out, just wants to take some people on, that sort of thing, just to get you into powerlifting, get you on a basic beginner program, that sort of thing. But yeah, you don't need to hire a coach from the get-go. It's something that I really wanted to mention because I don't think enough people say that. You can just start off, read the rule book, figure out the rules, or if you know some powerlifters, ask them what the rules are within, like, most federations have very similar rules, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, anyway, so basically to get into powerlifting, focus on SBD or learn to squat, bench press and deadlift to competition standard. You don't need to push them, you don't need to go heavy all the time, you don't really want to go heavy all the time. Push your accessories, build muscle, that side of things, read into the sport, and then if you want, hire a coach later down the line, hire a coach. Like, don't get me wrong, I think having a coach is invaluable for the majority of people. I've never had one, but I am also in the unique situation that I was starting my career as a personal trainer at the time of discovering powerlifting, and so I wanted to make powerlifting my niche. So I was almost like learning as I was getting into the sport, and it just worked out really well for me. And also I'm a control freak and stubborn and probably wouldn't get on very well if I was coached. But yeah, that is not the point of this video. So basically, if you want to get into powerlifting training, just start slow, find out if you like the sport, focus on squat, bench press and deadlift, find a free program or hire a coach. But I would just recommend a free program to begin with. And if you want to then sign up for a comp, we'll go through that next. Firstly, you do not need to be at a certain strength level to enter a competition. You can compete and you can squat the bar with collars on, so 25. You can compete in basic lift, 25 kilogram squat, 25 kilogram bench press, 70, no, I think you can do 25 deadlift or 75 deadlift. I'm not sure. But basically, just go in and lift at a competition. You don't need to be a certain level of strength to compete. That is not a thing. I understand why people have that mindset. I had that mindset before I started, but then I just made myself do a competition anyway. But no one is going to judge you if you lift on the day. No one is going to be focusing on what you lift on the day. They are going to be just wrapped up in their own little world. Even the spotters and loaders loading your bar, they're not really going to be paying attention. Obviously, they'll pay attention to what they're putting on the bar. That sounds really bad. But they're not going to be remembering what you've lifted. They're just going to load what they need to put on, spot you, cheer for you, support you, next person. And that is like, just if you're interested in powerlifting and you think you want to compete, just sign up to a competition. Now, with competing in the UK, within British powerlifting, so that is the federation, as I mentioned earlier, that I compete in, that I lift in, that my clients, for the majority of my clients, compete in as well. To enter a competition, you need to be a member of British Powerlifting. So if you go on British Powerlifting's website, you can sign up to become a member. I think a lifting membership is roughly £50. You need to figure out what region you are from. So British Powerlifting is split into different regions. I actually have, I think it was 3 Instagram posts. They are pinned on my profile. Let me double check that I'm not lying. Yeah, so I have got, I don't know if you can see that, 3 posts on my Instagram that explain how to get into competing and your first competition. So if you want to go on my Instagram and have a read through those, that would be helpful, because I think on them I have specified what regions are. Yeah, so within England, for example, you have Yorkshire in North East, North West, North Midlands, West Midlands, East Midlands, Greater London, South West, South Midlands and South East. So they are the English branches within British Powerlifting, so you need to figure out what region you are in. Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish are just their own one region, I think. But yeah, I've split it all up on this post, basically. There are 3 posts on here. The first part is about membership and regions. Second part is about weight categories and age categories. And the third part is about clothing and equipment. It's pretty much everything you need to know, to be fair. The only thing I haven't gone into on there is the rules. But again, I can make a separate video on that. But basically, what I was going to say was, if you want to get into competing, get yourself a membership. Well, before you get a membership, look on the British Powerlifting website at upcoming competitions, look what competitions are coming up. There was a period of time where some regions didn't add them all to that page, but I think they have started to do that again. So competitions should all be listed on the British Powerlifting website. Once you figure out what region you are in, basically, you can either go through the British Powerlifting list of competitions and look for competitions within your region, or each region does have their own individual website. So for example, I am East Midlands, so I would go on the East Midlands website and just look at the calendar and see what competitions are coming up. Pick one that preferably the entry hasn't opened on, because they do sell out quite quickly. Find out which one is like nearest to you or the one that you want to do. And then as soon as entries open, just enter. But you have to have your membership to enter. So yeah, basically, It's very simple to get into powerlifting when you know what to do. But if anyone is unsure, you can also always message me. Like, I am quite happy to help people find competitions or explain the process of competing. It depends what region you're on as to what you need to do, but within the UK, every region is pretty similar. Basically, British Powerlifting's website, just familiarise yourself with it. And read my Instagram posts. That is the easiest way, rather than me just repeating everything and probably forgetting points. Because I have a really bad habit of sitting down to film these videos and just not planning anything I'm going to say. And then I just talk at the camera and I forget what I've said, which is exactly what I've done in this whole talking segment. So I've probably missed off points I want to make. But to summarise from what I think I've said, to get into powerlifting, you want to just learn to squat, bench press and deadlift to competition standard. Get the techniques to start feeling natural. Do them quite a lot, not every single day. You need to rest. And don't deadlift too often either. That's something that people do often as well. You, as a beginner, really squatting 1 to 2 days a week, benching 2 days a week is enough. And then deadlifting once a week is probably enough as well. Also, you may think that to do well in deadlifts, you have to do sumo. For some reason, I have a lot of people, I coach quite a few beginners, and for some reason, a lot of them seem to think that they need to learn to sumo deadlift to be good at powerlifting. But I feel like, especially at the moment, I actually had this conversation the other day, I think conventional deadlifts are on the rise. Like, more people are switching back to conventional. But, tangent, what I was going to say was, I'm just using my hands so much to talk, to get into powerlifting, squat like 1 to 2 times a week is plenty. Benching a couple times a week is plenty to begin with. And also deadlifting once a week is plenty to begin with. And there's nothing wrong with just doing conventional. I would recommend conventional to most beginners, if not all beginners, because it is much easier to learn and it's just, there's less margin for error, it's less technical. Get your technique nailed on those. Get them to the, you want to kind of, it's like a repetitive thing. You want them to become natural so that when you're on the competition floor, you don't really have to think about what you're doing. And when you get to the point of kind of maxing out your lifts, when you get to that point where you are training for a 1 rep max, the movement, you don't want to have to think about the movement pattern. It should just feel somewhat natural to you. So that's something that I think is quite important. And muscle mass. Focus on muscle growth. Please, I beg you, just focus on building muscle within your powerlifting career. It will keep you healthier, it will get you stronger, and you will get better results from it. I definitely haven't covered everything I wanted to, but I've talked for far too long. So I'm going to wrap the video up here. If you have any specific questions, please let me know down below, because I've definitely missed points. If you have any tips to people that want to get into powerlifting, leave them down below. If you know any good free programs, leave them down below. If you know any terrible free programs, let us know down below. And yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm very close to 1,000 subscribers, and I've been very close to 1,000 subscribers for a few weeks now. So I would like to hit that mark. And yeah, leave a like for this video if you have enjoyed. Again, comment down below anything you want to say or add or question, or if I've just talked a load of shit and you want to call me out for it, leave it down below. And I will see you on Monday for the next video.